magic of Orioles baseball when the game is close and the Oaks are hot. There's a thundering roar from 34 to give it all they've got. And you never know who's gonna hear the call. Every game there's a dead stop. That's the magic of Oriole baseball. Orioles magic, feel it happen. Orioles magic, feel it happen. O-R-I-O-L-E-S. Magic, 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 magic. Something magic happen.
All right, guys. Well, there we go. Let's start off with a little Orioles magic due to them starting our pitchers and catchers reporting today. We got episode 13 of the Barstool DMV podcast going right now. We got Banks here with us. What's going on, man?
Nothing good right now. I'm watching this Minnesota-Maryland game. They're down by 5 early in the first half. They're doing their typical play to the level of the competition thing that they love to do. So this podcast is going to be a real treat.
Yeah,
So-
I had some stuff written up about them. You know, obviously going to beat Minnesota, and with this win, they would be tied for first in the Big Ten. And I like we said before, we can't really count our chickens before they hatch because Maryland, if we've learned anything this year, it's Maryland loves to play down to their competition.
It's their favorite thing in the world.
And just play like absolute, dog crap when you think that they're going to blow someone out. So here they are with, they're not even toying around with 6-19 Minnesota, who hasn't won a Big 10 game this year. They're losing it. Are they still losing right now?
They're down by 5. Shit. Down by 8.
Okay.
It's the target on the back thing. Every team that comes out, at least when we're on the road, these shitty teams, they all shoot the lights out, at least in the first half, and it's really a matter of whether or not we can, make them come back down to earth in every game.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating. I think Minnesota's going on about 7 of 10 from 3 right now. So
they really got nothing to lose. I mean, they're going to come out chucking threes, and that's what they're doing. If they lose, they lose. If they win, then they just upset the number 6 team in the country. So that would make, if Maryland lost, that would make 3, 4, 5, and 6 going down within the last 24 hours. So
yeah, it's just defensive lapses even are leaving wide open threes, and now we've got Stone's on the bench, obviously, and the rotation of guys they have in right now is just a complete shit show. Nickens is losing guys around screens. He's shooting awful threes. I don't know what happened to his shot. So that game is not looking good as of right now.
yeah, I think I just read that Minnesota only averages 6 made threes a game. I'm not sure if that's true or not, and they've made 7 so far. So yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes. Well, here we can talk about the Terps. We'll dive into this, and then we can talk.
Of note, they have 28 points and 27 points off threes.
Didn't they also dismiss their best player yesterday? Minnesota did?
I don't know. I'm out of the loop on that. Is that true?
I thought that I'd read that. I don't know any diehard Minnesota basketball fans, but I thought that I had read that they dismissed their best player. And honestly, I can't name one person on Minnesota, so I don't know who their best player was. But yeah, okay. So let's put pitchers and catchers off to the side. We'll do the bad stuff first, and we'll finish with the good stuff.
Sure. So
yeah, let's start with that. They kind of laid an egg against Wisconsin on, was it Saturday? Saturday. And I'm just gonna say this. I want to put this out there. It's time to end the flash mobs. I think Maryland had their flash mob game on Wednesday, their 4th one. I think it's run its course. It's done.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a recycled thing, and it's not really all that special when it's largely the same every year. It started when it was that stupid fucking thing that they did at the one Harlem Shake.
Yeah.
I'm good buddies actually with the kid that's in the motorcycle helmet who's in that original video, and they brought him back to do to just at least be in the video. I don't know, they just put him in the middle of the crowd. It was kind of weird, but yeah, the kids like it though. It brings a lot of excitement to the games. I personally thought that the excitement that just doing that on its own would be enough to carry the team in that environment to a blowout win, and I was dead wrong on that. It's like having been a student there and gone to a lot of games, and now being a season ticket holder and all that. There are certain feelings when you're in the building and you just feel like there's no chance that the Terps are going to lose tonight. Grievous Vasquez senior night against Duke being the prime example in my brain right now.
Those Gold Rush uniforms.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a game that they could ever lose, and they came out they came out a little bit flat, and then they stormed back with a 12-0 run, and then couldn't make a shot for like 10 minutes. So.
And then didn't Gravis make that like kind of leaner at a bad angle and banked it high off, and it I think it like swirled around and finally dropped.
Yeah,
it looked like a shot that had no business going in.
Yeah, that was that Duke game. That was crazy. That was Jordan Williams.
The dunk, right?
Getting the dish from Eric Hayes and dunking right on Shire's nuts or face. So that was sweet. That was probably the loudest I've ever heard it in that building. So. Good times.
Yeah. Not so good times right now. Even though they are okay, they're 22-4. Don't get me wrong. I love. They're great. They're playing very well this year. There are just games where you expect them to come out and absolutely dominate, and they just haven't been. The Wisconsin game, I thought they would win. I don't think it was the worst loss in the world, especially because a team like Iowa lost to on the road at Penn State last night. But like it was Wisconsin, they've won 7 in a row now. They're not a bad team. Nigel Hayes, I think, is a great player.
They're coming on really strong, I think.
Yeah, they're peaking at the right time.
What they had going for them is the past couple of years they actually had great athletes that they could spread the floor a little bit and play kind of a pro style. And now once Bo Ryan left, they kind of went back to their roots with the swing motion offense, and now they're just kind of suffocating teams and avoiding mistakes and just kind of wearing teams out. So they're back to Wisconsin basketball like we used to know. And it's been a progression throughout the year, and now they're finally back comfortable in the system, and it's working.
Yeah, it seems like they kind of hit, when Bo Ryan left, I think that was in December. They kind of went into a slide there, and which is to be expected when you lose your head coach in the middle of the season. It seems like they're getting comfortable under Greg Gard. So like I said, it wasn't a loss that I expected. It wasn't the worst loss in the world. They definitely, I think they should have won the game, but like I said, it's not even a bad loss on the resume. They still don't have a bad loss. Knock on wood. That could change in an hour and a half. But and the rest of the schedule, we talked about it last week. It's not the easiest schedule. They got their home versus Michigan on Sunday. At Purdue, they have their senior game versus Illinois, and then they have to win, but this could be the Big Ten regular season championship, the last game of the season at Indiana, who's right now. I think they're number 1 in the Big Ten, and they're ranked 22nd in the country. So
right. Well, they're down 8 still. So
first and foremost, they have to go out and they have to win these games because Minnesota is right with Rutgers as the worst team in the Big Ten. So
right, they've got Maryland, including this game, has 5 games left. If they go 4-1 and make it into the Big Ten championship in the tournament, I think that they're guaranteed 2 seed, possibly a 1 seed. But when it comes to the league title, I think that they've got these 4 games ahead of them, and then they finish at Indiana. They're currently tied with Indiana, but the fact that they play at the end, which means that they can go into that game, a game behind Indiana, and catch them and pass them just in one motion by beating them. So if they just go 3-1 in these 4 games here, they should be in great shape. And the way I see it is they should win this game, which thank God they missed the front end of a 1-on-1 there. But that's not looking great right now. But they should win this game. They should beat Michigan at home. And they should beat Illinois at home. And the Purdue game is a tough game on the road.
Yeah.
So
I think you and I said last week it wouldn't surprise us if they lost one of the Purdue and the Illinois game or Indiana game.
Yeah, I pretty much stand by that. It's now that the standings have kind of been whittled down and Iowa lost this game, and Iowa and Indiana still play just a monster game in like a week or so. That's going to have huge implications for the regular season title. But um, with the way I think that game's at Indiana. I can't remember. No, it's not.
Is that
It's in
Iowa?
Iowa. Um, but anyway, we have that tiebreaker for Iowa, so you know we'll see how the chips fall. But
Yeah,
just
and
the fact that we have that game at the end means we're it's hard for us to fall out of their reach, if that makes sense.
yeah, I got you. And it almost seems like with the loss to Wisconsin last weekend that like that they need to win. They need to at least go 4-1 and take. I think they need to take the Purdue game and the Indiana game just because the Wisconsin game was a game that you expected them to win and they didn't. And I think if they would have won that game, we 100% would have been okay with them losing one of the Purdue or Indiana games. But now that they lost that, you got to make that up somewhere. So while it would be nice to see them pull out one of those two, or win both, shit. It, you feel like they have to win both of them right now.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm so frustrated by this right now. Don't go in.
Yeah.
That would have been the worst. So I'm seeing Rom get just monster minutes right now. He's been in the game for the majority of the game here. Carter's shooting a three without hesitating, and it wasn't even that open, and he bricked it. Just
This is where Turgeon gets the reputation for not being a good in-game coach.
his hands are kind of tied right now. The guys that have their roles like Nickens and at least Carter on the defensive end. Suleiman right now is the only one keeping it together. He just made another and one. Those guys aren't doing their job they're not performing their roles in a way that makes him comfortable to just kind of let the guys play. Like, you can't just have Nickens out there for 20, 25 minutes a game when he's not making the shots. It's the whole reason he's out there. So with Diamond Stone suspended tonight, if Dodd gets in some foul trouble or he has no choice to put Checo in for a good amount of minutes, and just kind of fucks up the whole rotation. But
Yeah, and I think guys like Nickens and even Varun really they're not producing as much as here. Because you got to think, last year, a guy like Nickens, he wasn't counted on for much. Whatever he gave was like, oh, wow, they got 10, they got 11 from Nickens tonight. And same thing with Varun, like even on the defensive end. But this year, they knew that they were counted on to, there was some pressure on them. They knew that they were going to be counted on to, Nickens was going to be that 3-point specialist guy who could sit in the corner and wait for a pass. And Varun could come in for, I don't know, 5, 8, 9 minutes and get a stop or a steal or something like that. So it's almost like that they're kind of crumbling under the pressure. They're like second and third tier guys, like the guys who aren't Melo and Layman and Suleiman and Carter in them. So it's I don't know if we expected more from Nickens and them, but it's just frustrating to see them not live up to the potential that I think we thought that they could be after last year. And it also doesn't help that Melo has been playing. It seems like Melo has been playing injured since the Rutgers game, which is, their first game in January, I think.
Seems to be the excuse. I think there's some merit to it, but they say that it was an injury, I think, at Michigan State last year that is still kind of lingering. It's kind of a nerve issue at this point. It's just not a thing that's just going to rest up and go away.
Yeah.
So I think it just kind of flares up more than other times, and it's kind of interesting. The more that he shoots like this and the more that it might be tied to injury, might not be, the more you think that he might even have to come back next year.
That's what I was thinking.
That his draft stock is really hurting, not just from his performance, but just the fact that people think he might be kind of a Bradley Beal situation where you can't put him out there for too long.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, because I think he's 4 for 27 in his last 3 games, not including this one. And part of me was thinking, maybe there are people now who are seeing him get into, the second half of the season and go, oh, maybe he's not, physically fit enough for the NBA yet, or his shot's not there yet. It's not as consistent. Maybe he should come back. Maybe these draft guys, if he gets an evaluation, they'll say, hey, you're probably better off going back to school. So part of me was thinking that what you were saying is that, maybe this is good in a way that he's kind of struggling like this. But I mean, he's struggling bad. Like,
yeah, it's his whether or not he leaves is 100% directly tied to the outcome of this season in terms of the team, because the team isn't going anywhere without him picking it up. And if they don't, he'll come back. Jesus Christ, the second time Carter's got dunked on in the post. God, is he soft. So if he continues to shoot like this, you got to think that he's going to come back. And if he starts sinking them, this team's going to go far for sure. They're probably in the Elite Eight at least, in my opinion, if Melo can shoot like he's capable of. Shoot it, Jake. Jesus.
And I mean, March is all about the guard play. If you have the good guard play, you can ride a hot guard duo, to the Elite Eight Final Four. And right now they're not showing that they have it, but I believe that they can ride it in Suleiman and Melo, tie our horses to them, and we can just go, and I also don't think that if Melo does end this season bad, if they lose in, I don't know, the round of 32 and he shoots like shit for the rest of the year, I don't think he's going to want to go out like that. He's going to want to hopefully come back and show that that's not who he is, and he can rebound, and like you said, he can put up the numbers that he put up a year ago. I mean, last year from the field he was shooting 44%. He's shooting 43 this year. From three, he was shooting 41 last year, and he's down to 33 this year. So
it's a pretty steep
he
drop.
can shoot it. Yeah, we saw it last year. Like we know he can do it. We saw it this year in the Wisconsin game, the first one. But it just seems like lately, since that Rutgers game on January 6th, it's like he doesn't have his legs underneath him. He's 46 for 121 from the field since then, which is 38%. And then he's 16 for 59 from three.
He just doesn't seem to shoot it as often. I think he needs to shoot his way out of the funk.
He started off the game with he came off a screen and nailed a three, with under a minute into the game. And you were thinking, all right, here it is. And then he misses the next three shots.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to have the rhythm that he had before.
Yeah, and I don't know if they got to work him off screens more. I know every time you watch a game, you hear whatever analyst it is. It doesn't matter who it is. Say he's the best, the best guard in the country coming off a screen and nailing a shot.
Dude.
So
Tchaikovsky is legitimately the worst free throw shooter I've ever seen in my life, and that's not even any exaggeration whatsoever. He is the worst.
See, now it's funny because when I went to the Bowie State game, I think he was something like 6 for 7, and he was nailing them. And you were thinking, wow, this guy, his motion looks good. Like he looks like he knows how to shoot it.
He looks fluid. That's the weird part. And
he has
we
the
get
weird
blind Mike
line
out there
drive.
to shoot free throws against him.
We could set that up maybe.
God, is it frustrating.
I mean, yeah, I guess I know they still. How much time is left in the first half?
1:45, and they're down by 7.
All right. Well, we've seen this before with Maryland. Will they play a terrible 35 minutes and storm back in the last 5? Because let's be real, Minnesota can't play like this for another 20 minutes.
They can't shoot like this, but we are giving up open shots. It's not just them shooting over their heads. We're also giving them better opportunities than they should be getting. And like I said, at a certain point they had 27 points off of threes and 1 other point. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is when you go to the gym and you play against, at Maryland, I'm sure you played, if you went to the gym, you played against some of the athletes and stuff like that. This is where you sit on the three-point line and just chuck them and hope that they go in, and that's what Minnesota's doing, and they're going in. So
one time at Epley, the gym there, I actually played against Torrey Smith, Ray Rice, and Laquan Williams. It's actually pretty cool.
How hard did you get dunked on?
I got the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Ray Rice in person is
huge.
He's gigantic.
He's a bowling
Absolutely
ball.
Gigantic.
100%
a bowling ball.
I was with him at a bar, and he was guest bartending that night, and he had like a cutoff shirt on, and his biceps were absolutely gigantic.
I had a jersey and I ran to the gym to have him sign it because word on Twitter was getting out there that he was on campus. So
Yeah.
he signed the jersey like up against my chest because he didn't have like a surface to write on. So he pushed it up against my chest and I almost fell over. Like he like gently like pushed my chest to just kind of lean on it and write. Almost tumbled over.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of comments I could say, but I think I'll stay away from those.
Save your comments.
Yeah. Shit. What else was I almost got dunked on by Varun Ram a few times at the Columbia gym. I'm telling you, I've seen people you know who go to the games early. You can go watch, I guess, Maryland warm up and stuff. They're always surprised when they see Varun dunk. I'm not surprised at all because I've seen that dude rise up and throw down many a time.
It's almost like he's like levitating upwards. It's you see him leave his feet, and the first like split second when he's leaving his feet, you think there's a spot where he's gonna start descending, and he just like keeps going up. It's so weird looking.
It's like watching the Muggsy Bogues or like Spud Webb highlights from the dunk contest. Like
those guys explode up, but Varun like he just jumps and then he's just keeps going up. It doesn't look as like explosive as Bogues or Spud Webb or whatever you want to call.
When I watch Spud Webb dunk, I'm fully expecting it to be like CGI and like it looks like the T-Rex in like Jurassic Park because it just doesn't look real. But yeah, I mean, Varun, he can get up and he can throw down. So that's fun fact. Also, my buddy lived with Varun. It's his best friend from high school. Diehard Duke fan. So he likes to go to the Maryland games and give Varun shit. So
pretty lame.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, hopefully they can come back, get this win. They should win. They should win Saturday versus Michigan. I'm hoping Diamond comes out, kind of has his head straight, and gets his shit ready. Also, what happens first? Diamond Stone plays another basketball game, or the O's sign Gallardo and Fowler.
And Fowler and or
yeah, and or one of them.
I think Stone's going to play basketball game first.
I think Stone plays?
Yeah, he might come out and play the second half here tonight.
Yeah, shit. Put him out there in his suit pants.
He's in an all-black suit right now, too.
Yeah, he looks like how like LeBron and Carmelo looked when they got drafted with those like big He's wearing the Steve Harvey like Family Feud suit.
He's wearing the Kenny Powers exert my dominance type thing.
Yeah, he knows what he's. I'm actually surprised that he made the trip. I didn't know if they would have him make that trip.
That's a fair point. I wouldn't want to go to Minnesota. That's probably why he's there.
Yeah, that's his punishment exactly to go watch a team play in the barn, which that's not the best name for a basketball arena, but I guess that's what you get when you're Minnesota. Well, yeah. Speaking of, I guess Terps, we'll go ahead and we can say this. We're gonna have Andrew Terrell, number 24, on the Terps basketball team. He's the towel-toting freshman. You'll see him on the end of the bench. Always has his white towel around him. Blesses it before every game. Great follow on Instagram. Really funny dude. He'll be on with us, I think, in 2 weeks. We're looking for March 3rd. So he'll be on. Hopefully get him before the tournament. And just, kind of chat with him. Get some questions in and all that. So good guy. Big stoolie. So if you got any questions or anything like that, feel free to shoot those over to us. You got anything else on Maryland right now, or are you ready to look at it?
I'm so angry right now. Oh, there we go. Referee came in and fixed the call, but they called a bullshit double dribble on Melo right before with like 30 seconds left, and then Minnesota just had a ball go out of bounds when they're trying to get the last shot here, and there's no way that it could have been Minnesota ball, and fortunately a ref came out of nowhere and fixed it up, but I'm disgusted by this first half performance here. Maybe Suleiman makes this half-court shot? No, absolutely not. So they're down 11 at the half. So let's move on to something more joyful.
Yeah. All right. Well, joyful. We got the Orioles pitchers and catchers reported today, which means I think opening day is in 45 days, which it seems like a lifetime away. But I'm sure it'll be here before we know it. Like you were saying, there's still, last week we sat here in the same spot and we're talking about, when the O's sign Giovanni and Dexter Fowler, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And here we are a week later, still saying these same things. Just kind of sit and wait and for something to happen, anything to happen. Buster Olney was tweeting last night that the talks were like heating up, and Fowler, they were talking about a 2 to 3 year deal worth 12 to 13 million a year, and that's about it. We're just still waiting, so we're just. I guess we'll kind of ride it out. I know Buck said today in spring training that there are 2 open lockers next to Tillman in the locker room. So I don't know if that's foreshadowing or what.
It's got to mean something. It's annoying. It seems like it's so patently Orioles. Nothing can go, even when it goes well, it can't go smoothly. I wrote a blog on Gallardo in anticipation when the rumors were really getting hot on that day where it looked like they were going to sign them both, and it's just been sitting in the drafts for a week now. So who knows? We'll see. There was a lot of excitement when I thought we were going to sign him, and I've kind of like simmered down on that excitement just because I don't know if I'm annoyed at the process or if I've just read too many things because there's nothing left to do but just read more shit about why he's not getting signed. So I don't know. I'm just so over it, and it's going to be it's always a long month and a half when pitchers and catchers start and when opening day actually is.
Yeah, it seems like I said, it seems like it's close with, only 45 days, but then you realize they play, 20-some spring training games and all that shit. So we'll have to fight through those, and watching the guys like Steve Tollison and all those guys, Jimmy Paredes playing the whole game and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, same thing. I've had my Fowler blog ready to go, for a week. I think I wrote it last Thursday, and now we're just waiting, and nothing's really happening. I know. I read last night that they were saying Fowler's agent is Casey Close, who played in the Yankees minor league system, who was coached by Buck. So, they were saying maybe Buck can pull some strings and call out to his buddy and maybe get this deal done a little sooner and right after Gallardo gets his done. I don't know. I mean, like you said, this is just it's typical Orioles because it's announced that hey, they're probably going to sign, and then nothing. And it wouldn't surprise me if a team like the White Sox or someone like that comes in and scoops up Fowler, and then Gallardo signs elsewhere. So all it takes is one injury in the first week in spring training for someone to come in, scoop him up, and give up that
exactly
draft.
Right.
I mean, think of how many pitchers have gone down the last few years. Didn't Wainwright go down last year? Or so, there's always a guy that goes down the first week.
I think Wainwright was the first week of the actual season, but I know what you're talking about. There's always somebody. Stroman might have been one.
Yeah, I think Stroman got hurt around this time last year.
He came back or whatever. That's wild. Am I a Scrooge for just like not really vibing on pitchers and catchers day that much? Like it's kind of an empty excitement. Like you get to see the voices, the interviews and stuff, and the guys are back together, and you see them throwing, long toss, and they're in shorts and all that. Like that's cool, it really is, but it just completely pales in comparison to like opening day, which is obvious. Like that's the most obvious statement that's ever been said. But we just like get all excited on pitchers and catchers day, and then we just kind of largely ignore baseball-ish for a month and a half. You might catch 2 or 3 innings of spring training on Masson if it's on, and if you don't, it's not like appointment television by any means. Am I kind of just being a Scrooge here, just kind of, poo-pooing on it?
I don't know. I mean, I can definitely see how people think that way. I personally love it all just because I loved watching today. You saw the clips of Bundy throwing, and Scope was there, and I saw, Henry Urrutia hitting out of the cage, and Rock is sitting here live tweeting all the players walking in. I was eating all that shit up. I loved it. But even during spring training, I mean, I watched a good amount of the games. I watched mostly to hear Gary Thorne. I remember him last year. Of course, like we all love Gary Thorne and how
that's fair. That's when it's going to feel real again. That's when baseball is going to be
exactly. But like we all love how good / bad Gary Thorne is because I remember last year Scope hit a monster home run to left, and he called it, he hit Scope with a shot to right, and he pulled it, right down the left field line. So Gary, part of me, I just love that Gary Thorne in his mid-season, drunk Gary, voice, calling the games. Seeing the guys play. I eat it up, but I can definitely see how some people aren't that excited by it because opening day really is the best thing in sports.
Yeah, I would think that spring training Gary Thorne is the best drunk Gary Thorne because he just has so much space to talk about nonsense, and it's Florida, and it's sunny out. He's living the dream.
You know Florida Stanley? He's Florida Gary from The Office.
Oh, that's later season Office, but yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, he goes down in his Tommy Bahama shirts, and he definitely drives a convertible and just rides around like sipping out of flasks.
I guarantee he drives that convertible year round wherever it is. Like he could be in Minnesota in 2000 calling, the Frozen Four, and he'd show up to the arena in a convertible. That's just Gary Thorne.
He does always look like Windburn too. His face is always that like bright red.
Well, I was gonna get.
That's just that alcoholic.
This is where he gets his base for the year, and that's big because that base goes all summer.
Yeah, I mean it does stick with him. I'm sure he goes to like tropical tan or something around here too.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah, like I was saying, I could see how people are kind of, how pitchers and catchers days, underwhelming to people, but I don't know. I liked it. It just means that we're one step closer because then after this, the next step is position players reporting, and most of them reported today. I think Jones was there, Davis showed up today, Hardy, Scope, Reimold. Who else? Wieters was there. Joseph was there. So it seems like most of the guys are there.
And we had our import.
Yeah, oh my God, Dad bod Hyun-Soo Kim.
That was unbelievable.
The belly on that, I was like giggling like a girl when I saw it in my cube today. That was just a laugh out loud funny picture. I think someone I retweeted the picture of him and his interpreter, and someone said it looked like a father and his son on like take your son to, or take your father to work day or whatever, bring your parents to work day.
Yeah.
Or to school. And that was hilarious. Yeah, that there was dead eyes and he just had that like straight look on his face. That'll be that'll be interesting to see. I saw that he I think he told a baseball player before he came to America was Adam Jones. So now he'll be playing 100 feet to Adam Jones's right. So that'll be interesting to see. That's
a diplomatic answer.
Yeah, of course he was going to say that. He kind of depended. His favorite player depended on where he signed. I did hear. Did you ever get the chance to listen to Buck on 105.7 yesterday?
No, I didn't get to that.
He did have some interesting comments about how they had to sit down and they kind of had to set Hyun-Soo Kim's interpreter straight, and they were saying that there's things that you can do in Japan that you can't do over here. I'm guessing he was talking about bat flips because all the videos. Because he kept saying, and they were asking what it was, and he said, "Oh, nothing. It's just the way that he was playing." And it almost seemed like he was kind of cocky, and they said that they had to take his expectations and lower them. So I don't know what that was about, but it seemed to me like it was about, hey man, you can't bat flip here because you got Aroldis Chapman and Andrew Miller, coming in late in the game, and you're gonna get plugged.
Yeah. When you brought that up and you didn't get to the bat flip part, I thought you were talking about some weird locker room shit, like, I don't know, some weird kinky Asian weird stuff. I don't even know what kind of stuff they're into, but
now he did say that today. They asked him, how is this different so far, and he talked about how players get naked in front of the reporters and other people, and it doesn't faze them. So
I saw the comment that they actually have women like in the locker room, like, or something like that, or there are women reporters here. Like, he was so shocked.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's gonna be like the new kid in high school where he goes and like eats his lunch like in the bathroom. Is he gonna go like change behind? Is he gonna go into the showers and change, or like a bathroom stall and put his clothes on? I don't know. This is definitely gonna be, especially living in Baltimore or playing in Baltimore. This is gonna be an eye-opening experience.
I really hope he becomes one of those self-aware Asians that just kind of play to it like Kawasaki does.
And Ichiro too, but yeah, Kawasaki for sure.
Ichiro too, but he's quiet, but he still does it here and there. Like Yao Ming did it a little bit too. But I'm hoping for it. It could be a fun summer with him.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure we could get. I was thinking if he can mesh with Manny Machado and Scope with how their friendship is and Jones and guys like that, like this could, I don't know, they could have a lot of fun. I'm sure Wayne Kirby, because you always see Kirby and Jones kind of playfully talking shit to each other. It's going to be good to see. It's going to be fun to see how Kirby interacts with Hyun-Soo Kim. Shouting directions out to him and left. So yeah,
Sure.
and then I guess the other thing, it was kind of a hot topic this week, was all these projections coming out now with Pacoda and the USA Today one, which everyone was like flipping a shit over, and how I can't believe that they're saying the Orioles are only going to win 79 games, and they're rated their farm system this, and ESPN power ranked them this, and my thoughts are I don't really care about any of that. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm not a big analytics guy and all that shit. But how do you feel about these?
It's something to talk about. It's like I said, it's the middle of February. There's not a lot of actual action out there, so it's just a topic for people to discuss. So it's fun in that regard. We always look poor in these projections, and ever since like at least Buck showed up, we exceed them pretty much every year. It's just not something that they have been able to quantify in their projections. The fact that that Buck Showalter is probably worth maybe 4 or 5 wins every year. I don't know, but it's whatever. Like I'd rather have the low projection and exceed them than have the Nationals of the last few years where they're supposed to win 100 games and fall flat on their face when it matters and all that stuff. So I've had fun with it. The projections for the season I think are pretty outrageous, if you want to call them that. I mean, I think it was Pacoda that said 72, 71 wins for the Orioles, which is just ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I forget which one. One of them said that the Rays were going to score more runs than the Orioles this year.
Yeah, that they were going to win 90 games, which is I think it was 91. That's ridiculous. That's
unbelievable.
The thing I don't get about people and all these predictions of people putting the Orioles either 4th or 5th in the standings, the one trend, or the two trends I guess there are, is that the Rays are a substantial contender in the division. I don't see that at all. I don't their pitching is pretty good, but their offense is just abysmal. So I'm just not seeing it there. And the other one is that the Orioles, I don't see that much of what's different between 2014 and what is still left on the team. This team just won 96 games and then won 81 games last year, and that was with the pitchers just pitching as poorly as they possibly could. And they also, I know this is an analytic type thing, but was it the Pythagorean formula for run differentials and shit? They should have been an 83 and 79 team last year. I just don't see how you make that leap from 81 wins, or should be 83, to 71. I don't see that at all. They have 3 of the 5 pitchers from before, but Gaussman is kind of a 4th, so 4 to 5.
3.5.
There's just no way that those 4 pitchers can be as pretty rock solid as they were in 2014 and that bad in 2015 and not come somewhere in between those two. I just don't see any way that, at least collectively, that there's not going to be a pretty good improvement, or at least a decent improvement from last year over this year. I think we'll see Tillman in the low 4s for ERA instead of that 5. I think we'll see, Miguel Gonzalez, I think, is the one that's kind of a lost cause. But I think Gaussman will be mid-3s in ERA. You never know what you're going to get with Ubaldo. That's just how he is. But they jumped up 0.7 in team ERA last year, and that's a huge jump. And I just don't see how anybody can see it different, because they scored more runs than they did last year. Last year, everyone wanted to complain about the fact that Markakis was gone and Cruz was gone, but they more than replaced that with, they scored 8 more runs, and they've filled already filled in with a on base percentage outfielder in Kim. They've improved there. They substantially made the swap. I think did I talk about this last week? I might have.
Which?
Well, I guess that was contingent on Gallardo coming in for Chen, but
Yeah.
I mean, Trumbo has some pop. He's pretty much Steve Pierce. I just don't see what's all that different. And Machado and Scope are older, and Hardy can't hit as bad as he did last year. Like, he's hurt all year. He's going to be better. I have no doubt about that. So, what is there to hate other than the rotation?
No, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. Like you said, they won 81 games last year. They're projecting 72. Why are they going to be 10 games worse this year than they were last year? Because they lost Steve Pierce and Wei Chen and Gerardo Parra? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And so many things had to go wrong for them last year to fall to that 81 and 81 mark. Just like how so many things in 2014 had to go right for them to win those 96 games.
I think Matt Wieters will be back to 25 home run, 80 RBI kind of guy and get on base at a 330 clip. Like, that's an improvement, even though I have my advocacy for Caleb Joseph. Like, Matt Wieters at the plate at least is deserving of a lot of at-bats. So,
yeah, I wrote in the blog today, my blog that came out today, it's going to be interesting to see how Buck kind of handles the Joseph and Wieters thing. I know they asked him that on the radio yesterday. How are they going to split that? And, will Wieters get back to that catching 130 games this year? And he kind of pushed the question off to the side and just said, "Oh, well, we're just excited to see Matty back here, and we know that he's full strength." And then he just started talking about Wieters playing in the golf tournament on Monday. So he pretty much dodged the question. But I mean, I'm wondering how they're going to split that. How do you think that they will go about that?
It's going to be tough. I think it's a bonus that they have that DH spot to play with, even though Trumbo's in the mix. I think with left-handed pitchers, Trumbo is definitely going to be getting the at-bats, and Wieters is going to get the majority of them with righties on the mound, and they'll be able to mix and match who's behind the plate, probably based on pitcher preference. And we'll see how things go from there. If there's an injury, if we get Fowler and then there's an injury or something happens, like, I know they've been saying it all, like, ever since they signed him, but, Davis could very well end up playing outfield here and there, and, on Sundays, you do lineup shuffles. I don't know. They'll find the at-bats. Somebody will get hurt. Somebody, will be banged up and need rest. It won't be a perfect situation where they'll both be getting 500 at-bats a season, but we'll see. I think Buck plays his cards well, and he'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I think it's almost a good problem to have. Like, when they say if you have two quarterbacks in the NFL, you have no quarterbacks. I don't think that's true in this situation. I think, Joseph and Wieters can both, they're both obviously going to help the team, but on defense and offense.
If anything, it keeps both of them really fresh, which is big.
Yeah.
Especially Wieters being a 6'5" catcher.
Because you can have a week where you can play Caleb. Yeah, I mean, those dog days of summer, those are going to wear on him, especially, like you said, him being 6'5", big dude. You can sit him for maybe 2 or 3 days at a time and pinch hit him late in the game, or, maybe get him, like you said, get him in a DH spot, and, yeah, like you said, keep him fresh all year. So I think that would be best, is to try and find a way to. I don't see Caleb Joseph starting 5, 6, 7 games in a row, and same thing with Wieters. I don't see him really stringing starts like that together. Give me an update. What just happened?
Melo just missed an open 3.
Oh,
Somebody
nice.
made a 3. It was the kind of thing where I was watching but not watching while you were talking at one point, and we made a 3, and I think it was Melo, like in the first possession of the half, but it might have been somebody else. I don't know, but continue.
No, yeah, it was just the them keeping the catchers fresh. I think that'll be. I think Buck will do a good job at that, so I'm not really worried about it.
Sure, and if things go one way or another, we always had the option of trading Wieters at the break. So
Yeah, really. Like I think we talked about it the other day. It wouldn't really got as much as they could out of him, and then at the deadline, shipped him off somewhere for I don't know. Maybe you can get it. Maybe you can get some starter from some team who's already out of it.
right.
So I think Matt Wieters is the best Orioles trade chip right now. They always say that the Orioles don't have, their farm system's not deep. They don't have any trade chips down there. I think they have one of the best trade chips right now in Matt Wieters. So
That's a trade chip, but that could also be a way of kind of replenishing that farm system at the same time. Like
yeah.
wouldn't be opposed. It's all contingent on how the season goes, but I would not be opposed at all to trading for a couple young arms or something.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. It's not a good feeling when you see Zach Davies in the Brewers system, and I think Josh Hader there too now from Ole Mill, the guy who went in the Bud Norris deal.
I don't know.
I think he's somewhere.
Eduardo's up in Boston.
Yeah, to think what could have Don't get me wrong, I loved having Andrew Miller, and I'd do that trade 100 times out of 100. But it would have been nice to have you got to think Eduardo would have been here. Zach Davies could be up here. Even the guy Tim Berry that they gave up, or that they lost on waivers earlier this year. So they have some big name arms down in the that are hurt down in the system. But it would have been nice to, have those guys too. So
Jesus Christ, Melo's just had 2 lip out in a row.
see, I was all in favor of. Oh my God, Natty Bo will not be sold by the Orioles this year in 2016.
What?
Oh Jesus,
That's gonna be a thing.
this is a terrible night. This is a god awful night. It started off great with our Orioles magic, and then Maryland shits the bed almost.
Well, that's messed up.
Wheaton Yards is not selling.
They're gonna hear about this from a lot of people.
Yeah, they'll be hearing from my lawyer. So, all right, I got nothing else. Do you? Anything else we got? It's been a bad night. So
It's been a bad night. Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't say flaking, but I haven't put a lot of Ravens content out there recently. If you know, kind of me personally, I've got. I'm deep in the thick of tax season, so I'm hoping to get a few blogs out there at some point. I've also got a CPA exam in a week, so once that's out of the way, I think I'll be able to really dive into the off-season coverage, talk some Joe Flacco restructure stuff, salary cap cuts, and obviously the number 6 overall pick. So we'll get to that at some point. But yeah, it's the dead of the winter in the NFL. So looking to chat more about that at some point, but that night's not tonight.
yeah, I was gonna say it's the slow time in the NFL when you see the Mel Kiper mock drafts going up on ESPN, which there's nothing better than mock draft season. People just sticking names.
Well, Joey Bosa this morning in his mock draft.
Heading to the Ravens at 6.
Yeah, that's right. He said he had, I think, Wentz going to the Browns at 2 and Goff going to the Cowboys at 4. So that kind of
opens up some spots.
That's kind of the hope. In my head, when the season ended, I was trying to play out how I would get Ramsey to 6, and it involved having at least one quarterback go. I needed Bosa to obviously go, but now that he was like a shoe-in for top 2 or 3 pick, now he's maybe falling back to 6. I'll take Bosa in a heartbeat too. And then Tunsil's definitely going to be taken top 3 probably. DeForest Buckner will be taken probably, and if he falls to 6, that's probably good too. The way I see it, there's enough teams up there that will take a quarterback where one of Bosa, Ramsey, or Buckner will fall to 6. And I would probably put it in order of Ramsey, Bosa, Buckner for my preference. But who knows what Oz is going to do. If I think if Ramsey or Bosa don't make it to 6, I think he'll trade back a few spots and grab somebody and collect picks while he's at it. But we'll see. It's so far away. He's still got the combine, so
Yeah, there's many things could change. You know, injuries, trades, all that shit. So Ozzy's gonna do Ozzy things, but we'll see. Yeah, to wrap it up, like I said, we're gonna have Andrew Terrell on in a few weeks. So you know, if you got any questions for him, shoot him over. And then also, real quick, Banks and I are gonna be on with we're gonna be on BirdlandRadio.com. It's gonna be a all day podcasting event for the Orioles right before opening day. I think it's April 3rd is the date. That's Sunday. It's like a 12-hour podcasting event. A bunch of the Orioles blogs from the area. Just going to be getting together. We all have an hour, so we're going to kind of throw some stuff together, podcast with them. They're trying to raise money for some charities, so we'll have more information on that. I'll throw that information in a blog soon. So follow us on that. Let's hope the Terps can pull out a win, and I guess we will see you guys next week.
Have a good one.
Later.